Over the past 30 years, the developing world has undergone revolutionary changes. Dozens of countries are following the path of South Korea, where more people are now part of the middle class. This new middle class population works regularly and lives in more urban areas than any other time in history. These countries want a new and different partnership with the United States based on trade and investment. They also want access to science, technology, and innovation. At the same time, fragile and conflict-ridden states remain. They are currently home to about 1 in 5 people on the planet, and will have as many as 4/5 of the world's poor by 2035. They face many of the most pressing security threats, global pandemics, and forced migration. Currently, only a few $100 billion are available globally for foreign aid. In order to confront these challenges, these countries will require not billions, but trillions of dollars. While the world needs significant amounts of traditional foreign aid for the next several decades, what needs to change is how we use and leverage that foreign assistance. We must also revisit the value of local tax collections, the power of local savings, and local capital markets. We should also consider the critical role of private sector investment, the emerging role of global pensions, sovereign wealth funds, and more. By expanding on our conventional assistance tools, we can achieve better governance, higher economic growth, and address the skills and infrastructure gaps in developing countries. So how do we go from billions to trillions? We can unleash the power of the private sector. With nearly 80% of the world's markets living in developing countries, foreign aid can help local governments create incentives to bring in businesses. Developing countries can mobilize their citizens to expand their tax base. Citizens are more willing to pay taxes to ensure security, education, and infrastructure. In the early 2000s, El Salvador struggled to recover from civil conflict and a major earthquake. USAID announced in 2004 that it would implement reform that would broaden El Salvador's tax base and increase its tax collections. By 2010, with a match from the El Salvadorian government, the country reaped an additional $1.5 billion to spend on education, infrastructure, and healthcare. Finally, developing countries can reform their financial institutions. After the 1997 Asian financial crisis hit Indonesia, the government sought aggressive capital market reforms with the help of the Asian Development Bank. This fund helped establish more public-private partnerships and created surpluses that could then be used for more development. Today, Indonesia is on its way to mobilize $400 billion for infrastructure projects. By focusing on private sector investments, we can go from billions to trillions to address some of the big challenges of our time.